16 years ago, after a struggle spanning more than a decade and 3 Congresses, one of the most significant victories for Filipino women was signed into law on August 14, 2009. The Republic Act No. 9710, known to us as the Magna Carta of Women, or MCW. Today we gather not just to commemorate this date, but to celebrate the profound impact of this milestone legislation. The MCW is more than just a law. It is our nation's promise. It is the local translation of the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, or CEDAW, making the International Bill of Rights for Women a tangible reality for Filipino women. It is the framework that compels every branch of government, from the executive to the judiciary down to the smallest barangay, to champion gender equality. In commemorating its 16th anniversary, we recognize the incredible milestones we have achieved. The MCW has been our guide in institutionalizing gender mainstreaming and has been instrumental in promoting women's participation and empowerment at every level of society. Today, we stand on the shoulders of the gains secured by this landmark law, ever conscious that our work continues and we remain inspired to push further for a truly just and equitable future for all. Indeed, the MCW did not just set a standard. It acted as a powerful catalyst, paving the way for a new generation of gender-responsive legislation. We see its spirit and mandate fulfilled in the passage of several landmark laws that protect and empower women and children. These include the Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Act of 2012, the 105-day expanded maternity leave law, the Safe Spaces Act, the law prohibiting the practice of child marriage, and the Special Protection of Children Against Abuse, Exploitation, and Discrimination Act. Each of these laws is a direct fulfillment of the promise embedded within the MCW. However, despite this remarkable progress, we must emphasize that the full realization of the MCW's vision requires our continued and unfaltering action. The journey is far from over, especially in addressing deeply entrenched discriminatory norms and gender-based inequalities that persist in our society and critically in our laws. This ongoing mission is not just a moral imperative, but a legal one. It explicitly mandates the state to review, amend, and ultimately repeal all existing laws, policies, and codes that are discriminatory to women. Therefore, as we commemorate this anniversary, we also accept our primary responsibility. We must intensify our efforts to identify and amend these discriminatory provisions and continue to advocate for the adoption of new laws that will finally close the gaps and bring the vision of true gender equality and women's empowerment to every Filipino woman. Laws can either protect or confine. That's why every debate, every word written into our laws matters deeply. Crafting legislation is more than just policy work. It's a chance to make the life of our Filipino women better. Those who need protection, hope, or justice. When we write laws that affirm dignity, we give marginalized people the courage to speak up, knowing that the law is on their side, not something they have to fear. It is what allows a woman to break free from violence, knowing that the law recognizes her autonomy. This is why any discriminatory clause that lingers in our laws cannot be dismissed as a simple relic of the past. It must be seen for what it is, a crack in the fortress of our hard-won rights. It is a dangerous vulnerability, for history shows how quickly progress can be reversed. The most crucial lesson from the global struggle for human rights is this: progress is not permanent. Rights are not monuments of stone. They are living institutions that demand our constant and vigilant defense. The fight we wage in our own nation, therefore, is not just for advancement, but for preservation. A fight to ensure that the backsliding and honors witnessed elsewhere will never, ever find a foothold on our soil. But this defense requires more than vigilance. It demands a concrete plan of action. It requires a strategy, and we have one. This is our Women's Priority Legislative Agenda, or the WPLA, for the 20th and 21st Philippine Congresses. The WPLA is our primary strategy to fulfill the explicit mandate of the MCW. It was developed through extensive consultations with our partners and stakeholders across the nation, and it is grounded on the lived realities of Filipino women and girls. This agenda is built on three strategic pillars. First, we need to dismantle the architecture of discrimination by amending or repealing biased and archaic laws. This involves directly confronting the laws that hold back women. Under this pillar, we are pushing for upholding the right to life and security of spouses and daughters through the repeal of Article 247 of the Revised Penal Code, removing the unjust distinction between adultery and concubinage, ensuring women's equal rights in marriage and family relations, strengthening the grounds for legal separation by amending Article 55 of the Family Code to include all forms of violence, introducing vital amendments to the Anti-Rape Law and the Safe Spaces Act, the comprehensive amendment of the Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act of 2004, and gender-responsive amendments to our nationality laws. Second, we need to build new pathways to progress by enacting enabling legislations for women's empowerment. This is about proactively creating the legal frameworks necessary for women to thrive, which will include critical measures, namely, enacting a landmark women's political participation and representation law, passing the SOGI Equality Act to protect all individuals from discrimination, reinstituting absolute divorce as a matter of safety, dignity, and liberty, establishing a Magna Carta of workers in the informal economy, upholding the rights of women deprived of liberty, creating a national policy on preventing and addressing adolescent pregnancy, and enacting a national policy on valuing and investing in our nation's care economy. And third, we need to institutionalize and promote gender-responsive governance. This ensures that our government systems are inherently inclusive and equipped to protect the most vulnerable. Our priorities here are enacting a law protecting the rights of internally displaced persons, a majority of whom are women and children, and instituting gender-responsive and inclusive protocols to be activated during public health emergencies and other crises. To formally advance this crucial agenda, the PCW, in coordination with our champions in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, will officially launch these 17 priorities in the third quarter of this year. This set of priorities will be our advocacy roadmap for the 20th and 21st Congresses. This long-term time perspective is deliberate. It is designed to maximize our opportunity to lobby, advocate, and engage with all sectors to see these measures through to victory. The WPLA is the PCW's solemn commitment to fulfill the mandate of the MCW. It has been, and will continue to be, our most powerful tool in using legislation to effect real, tangible, and lasting change in the lives of every Filipina. It is our roadmap, born from evidence and forged from the lived realities and experiences of Filipino women. It is a resounding call to action for our lawmakers, our government agencies, and for every sector of society to work as one in building a more just, more compassionate, and truly inclusive legal framework for our nation. And so today, on the 16th anniversary of the Magna Carta of Women, we do more than just commemorate its adoption. We invite and urge our partners and supporters in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, our colleagues in national and local government, and our tireless allies in civil society to rally behind this agenda. Let this anniversary be a catalyst for our collective will to finally pass these vital gender-responsive laws. The PCW reaffirms its sacred commitment to champion this cause. We will continue to lead through rigorous policy work, relentless advocacy, and productive partnership, ensuring that gender-responsive governance is integrated into every aspect of legislation and public service. To all of you who continue to stand in solidarity with us, we see you. We are honored and strengthened by your support, which is the bedrock upon which we build this future. Let us celebrate this day with a renewed purpose. Let us continue the fight for transformative justice. Let us recommit ourselves to a future where no woman or girl is left behind. Together, let us shape a future where equality is not just a promise, but a lived reality in our homes, workplaces, and communities. On this day, let us remind ourselves that we are heirs to a glorious pre-colonial culture, the era of the babaylands, where gender equality and women's empowerment were the norm, where feminine power, wisdom, and strength were celebrated, where women were recognized as spiritual leaders and healers of the body and spirit, and where gender diversity was a natural part of life. Let us work together to recover and relive the truth of who we really are as a nation. Mabuhay po ang kababaihang Pilipino. Sa bagong Pilipinas, mas matatag ang bukas. Salamat po.